Cloud platforms keep emerging, transforming one industry after another. It's because cloud computing brings simplicity, scale, and massive compute resources to harness the transformational power of big data. As cyber attacks intensify, the time for transforming cybersecurity has come. Now, with the cloud platform, CrowdStrike delivers the first purpose-built cloud-native platform for complete endpoint protection. The Falcon platform gives organizations everything they need to stop breaches in one simple solution. It's built on our threat graph, a massive graph database and analytics engine in the cloud, powered by artificial intelligence and working seamlessly with a single lightweight agent to protect endpoints and stop attacks across the entire threat lifecycle. This is the industry's first cloud-native breach prevention solution. The Falcon platform blends power, performance, and simplicity to automatically adapt to new threats so you can stay one step ahead of the adversary and ultimately stop breaches.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for the time today. My name is Patrick Doherty from CrowdStrike. Today, we are going to talk about really the 80% problem, as we refer to it, and how we solve this issue today with zero trust, with zero friction. So as we get into the discussion today, I want everyone to kind of expand your minds and first focus on an analogy. So this is a set of car keys. Now, these set of car keys are a valid credential, right? If you were to lose your keys or your keys were stolen, someone could use those keys, they could hit the unlock button and they could drive that car. And they could drive the car anywhere they want to go. The missing link in this scenario and what organizations are struggling with today is that no one is looking at who's driving the car, right? You might find out an hour later, a couple hours later, a day later that the car is gone and it's stolen, but the ability to see in real time that a different person is driving that car for the first time, right? Or that they're driving the car very, very fast and they've never driven the car that fast before. These are key things that lead to the 80% problem. Now, the 80% problem, Forrester, Verizon, DBIR, what the research shows us is that 80% of breaches stem from the misuse of a valid credential. Okay, so this is the valid set of car keys. Now, why is this so hard for organizations to see today? Adversaries, and this is very, very relevant, obviously, is with everything that's going on in the world right now, adversaries are focused on it because it's a blind spot for organizations. The ability to steal a valid credential, use that credential, and move laterally throughout the network, escalate privileges, and get to resources that look normal is a key attack path today in the industry. And this is what our frictionless zero trust approach is here to solve. So when we talk about frictionless, it's really important to understand what do we actually mean when we say frictionless. The ability for organizations to put technology in place with zero friction is very important, and time to value is also very important. But more important than anything else is the user experience. So the ability to put security around identity without impacting a user is crucial. Now, how do we do this? Within Falcon today, what we're able to do is segment, automate, and verify. Segment visibility into your identity attack surface, automate the ability to prevent identity compromise and lateral movement, things like privilege escalation as adversaries move around the network, leveraging a valid credential, and then the ability to verify. Verify meaning risk-based step-up authentication, risk-based conditional access, anywhere in the organization to use what you already have in an MFA solution, but extend it everywhere within the environment. So let's dig in a little bit deeper across these three pillars with some real-world examples. Today, the attack surface is very complex. Every customer is somewhat similar in the sense that you have on-prem identity, things like Active Directory, maybe multiple domains. And then you also have digital transformation, which is pushing identity and authentication to the cloud. This adds a layer of complexity within Microsoft, but also outside of Microsoft. So as we look at solutions in the SSO markets, within Microsoft solutions like Azure, as they enable very important functionality within the business, it's creating a more complex attack surface. So when we talk about frictionless zero trust, the foundation of what we do is the ability to segment the environment based on risk. So this is the ability to look across all those different identity stores in that attack surface and simply understand key things, but in real time. How many human accounts do I have? How many service accounts do I have? Across both, what accounts are privileged, overprivileged? Understanding attack path is very, very key right now. So the ability for our customers to simply look at a large, complex environment and understand that there are users that have an attack path or the ability to escalate a privilege. I might not be a privileged user, but if I can reset a password of a highly privileged account, I should be seen and treated as a privileged user, right? I have an attack path to gain a privilege. I can take that set of car keys and I can drive anywhere I want to go. So understanding the attack surface, looking at the attack path, and foundationally understanding identity hygiene across an on-prem and cloud environment, and the ability to segment and provide focus to a security organization is step number one in our zero trust journey. Automation speaks to simply the ability to prevent. There are attacks and techniques that adversaries have been using for a very, very long time. Path to Hash just crossed, I think with this year, its 20th anniversary. So when you look at Active Directory today, in most cases, that's where a lot of the car keys and the credentials are stored. And that's where an adversary is focused to first gain a privilege, gain that set of car keys, and move around the network. So the ability to look at key attack path scenarios today of that valid key being used, if you look at things like ransomware today, the ability for an adversary to leverage a service account is a key attack path. And it's hard for organizations to put security around a service account because it isn't a human. So with frictionless zero trust, we can simply put policy in place that sees the RDP of a service account, which should never happen, and simply put a preventative policy in place that says when this happens, we're going to block authentication. When we see overprivileged accounts authenticated to highly critical applications, right, that shouldn't happen. If we have a PAM in place and we want to enforce the right type of authentication through a jump server, well, let's make sure that that's being used correctly. So automation of very malicious acts that shouldn't happen in your environment, right, are very easy to do. And the third is verification. Verification is really the true zero trust story. And at CrowdStrike, what makes us unique in this frictionless approach is that we understand the user, right, by looking at live authentication traffic. Okay, again, that's real time. So within Active Directory, protocols like NTLM, LDAP, LDAP-S, Kerberos, within cloud authentication platforms, we can see different types of, OAuth, SAML authentication within those environments. And then we understand the device, right? We understand the health of the device, the processes that are running on the device. And with that, we have a policy engine that we can make decisions in real time on what do we trust, what do we not trust, and then what are we not sure about? What do we want to add another layer of protection in real time and force a user to multi-factor? So in the allow category, this is frictionless. If the user is doing things that we trust and that we know are healthy and that they do every day, we don't want to add friction to that user. Okay, but if that user now all of a sudden authenticates from a new device, or it's the first time that person gets in that car, we've never seen the person drive that car before, we want to use MFA as a way to make sure that that identity is who they say that they are. And what this provides is a frictionless approach. We're using solutions like MFA, the ability to do detection and prevention of lateral movement, but in a frictionless approach that we're only invoking these types of security controls when we see risk. And risk comes in many different forms. Risk can be who the user is. Risk can be the activity that they're performing. It could be the location of login. It could be the time of day. There's many, many factors that go into this, but in today's world, the ability to provide frictionless zero trust with a focus on the identity of the user or the account, human or a service account, and understand the device that they're coming from, and ensuring a layer of trust and the ability to do automation and prevention and verification of identity allows us to really enable zero trust in a frictionless approach. That's what we have for today, for today's session. I appreciate everyone's time. If there's any questions or anything, we could address those. But again, really appreciate the time with everybody, and hopefully we provided some insight into our frictionless approach, zero trust or zero friction, to really focus on solving the identity problem today in security.